Wondering what to do now that the market has changed? Well, we got some answers for you today. Heidi Harris out of Raleigh, North Carolina is going to tell us why she doesn't buy leads and she buys lunch. All right, I am joined by rockstar agent Heidi Harris out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Heidi, listen, every single time we've done this, I know that we kind of share these when we get these emails. You get one or I get one, and we respond back letting each other know about it. This is the value you bring to the industry is so valuable. And in case somebody doesn't know you, if you don't mind, just give a brief introduction of yourself. And then also, let's go into what kind of you're seeing in the last few months and kind of what may be going on with you.
Well, thanks for having me, Jimmy. It's always such a highlight to see you and to be on the podcast. It's such a highlight for me. So thank you so much. I am Heidi Harris, and I am a realtor out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. And I am the team leader of the Home Sweet Heidi team. So it's like Home Sweet Home, but it's Home Sweet Heidi. And if you want to check me out on Instagram, it's at Home Sweet Heidi. Feel free. We've got lots of good content between us on there too, along with some other things that I do. But yeah, it's been interesting because when I look back on when I got my license in 2012, and we were just coming out of the recession. So I've done a good amount of waves here. My favorite year in real estate ever is 2019. I just felt like 2019 was the buyers were winning, sellers were winning. There wasn't that like crazy, every house is multiple offers and waiving everything and all that stuff. I just feel like it was a very good market for realtor success, but also for buyers and their clarity and sellers and their clarity too. I think that when things move too fast, people get really stressed out and it just, the wheels kind of fall off. So what I'm seeing right now is I'm just seeing an adjusting in the market. I think that it's normalizing from what has been chaos over the past couple of years. I think that the past couple of years, a lot of people look at real estate and they think, gosh, man, they are making hand over fist and money. And it's been a great couple of years. Yeah. But now that it's normalizing back to 2019, I'm totally welcoming that with open arms.
Yeah, it's really good. And you know what? I think a lot of people, as we went through everything that we went through as far as just literally trying to do everything we could to take advantage of that market cycle, there are a lot of people that came to that point and they got tired, they got exhausted, maybe even they burn out. Yep. And now here we are with the changing market normalizing in reality. As you said, it's a different situation. I feel like over the last maybe 6-7 months, there's been a lot of people that have either gone through some stuff or maybe they just had changes in their business and what their focus is. Has that been something really that's kind of happened to you as well?
Oh, yeah. So my father, as you know, because you're my dear friend, my father passed away on May 20th. Mm-hmm. And when that happened, and if anybody that's out there that's had a tragedy in their family, the world stops. And all of a sudden, you're trying to keep on going through, but there's so much static in your mind. And for me, I had to be the person that helped my mom through it and my brother through it. And I was just trying to be the helper that most of us realtors are at heart. And I feel like, I was still doing business and everything, but by the time I woke up from the fog, it was mid-August. So you got to think the difference between mid-May and mid-August, a lot changed right there.
Right.
And when I woke up from this fog, as I'm calling it, go ahead.
No, please. I appreciate your transparency on this because I think there are a lot of people that can relate to this where we all had stuff going on. We had personal things going on. It just seems like there was a heaviness maybe in the world. And a lot of people I think can relate to this. And as your friend, I watched you go through some of this stuff and it's pretty amazing to see, that you're absolutely right. As realtors, if you're good at this business, you're a natural helper. You're a person that gets in there, takes care of it, tries to help as much as you can, obviously makes bridges where there are issues. And so, and then you wake up and here it is mid-August, the market's completely changed. And obviously, I think this is where a lot of people are is now what? We come to this point, we're like, now what? And so, I know that as you and I have talked, some of those things, some of those questions have come up for you. What are you thinking right now differently than you did in the past? Is there something that's changed fundamentally as the way you think about your business?
That's a really interesting question. I think that for me in my business, I have always been the hunter. I've always been going out and looking to collect the business. And for a little while there, it was just coming right to me. And I think I got spoiled a little bit. And I think we all did, honestly. I mean, let's all be relatable here. We've all gone through a lot of heavy stuff recently. We've all been, business has just been falling in our laps. And now we've got to get back to the basics. And it's been a very reactive market for 2 years. Right. And now we've got to be proactive. So when I woke up in mid-August, I was just like, what am I going to do? Like, now what? Right. And I think a lot of us are going through that right now, about to go through it, or have already gone through this whole like, holy smokes, what do we do now? So that's why I reached out to you about this idea, because what I wanted to do was go back to the basics, nose to nose and toes to toes with people, right? If we are realtors that are servicing our community, we're helping people, we want to be a resource for everybody. I wanted to be right in front of people. What's the easiest way to do that? So I just started scheduling lunches.
So good.
And let's see, that was mid-August. I'm currently booked out through mid-October with lunches. I try to keep it about every 2.5 weeks. I find that if I go 3 weeks, it looks a little like, I don't have time for you, So I'm trying to do like every 2 weeks. And once I do a lunch, I make sure that I go ahead and schedule another lunch after that to keep this train moving. And some people might be hearing this and thinking, holy smokes, is Heidi buying 5 lunches a week? Not really. Because when you think about the people that are in our communities, and a lot of people are like, okay, but what's my community? So let's get a little bit of clarity on that real quick. So maybe it's people on your social media. Maybe it's people that are in your church. Maybe it's people that are in your kids' school or a hobby that you do. Earlier today, I was playing golf. Can you believe it? Did you know that? I don't even know I play golf. I'm just trying to be in front of people, Jimmy. So, I've been just trying to get in front of my community and engage with them. And then naturally things come up and I'm like, hey, you want to get together for lunch? Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Well, how about, October 16th at noon? Great. Cool. And I go ahead, I make the reservations for them. I'd say out of 5 lunches a week that I've been doing for the last month, I've maybe bought 4. Mm-hmm. Most of the time we're splitting the lunch. So it's nothing, but Jimmy, I think that COVID taught us all a lot. And I think that the sense of community and the need for it has never been stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I think that if us as realtors can get over our ego and understand that we are helping people make huge decisions in their lives. We know things about them that their family doesn't know about them. And if we can just invite them into that community, let them know that we care, and just invite them to lunch, people feel so special. I've gotten thank you notes. I've gotten thank you texts, all kinds of stuff. Just people are like, hey, thanks for asking about my kids. I'm glad to know that you care. So before each lunch, I always get on their social media and make sure that I know what their husband's name or whatever, their kids' names, oh, so-and-so went back to 2nd grade or whatever. I just do a quick, while I'm parking, a quick little breeze through so that I can update myself on exactly what they're doing. And I sit down and I just have a conversation. What's new to you? What's going on in your life? How can I help you? I just got done with a lunch just now, a friend of mine who's a financial planner. And I didn't know this, but her niche is helping divorced people. So I'm like, okay, well, how can I help you? And she was like, well, do you know any family lawyers? Do you know anybody that's thinking about getting a divorce, is currently separated, stuff like that? Put me in touch with them. Okay. So if I can serve, they're going to naturally feel like they need to return the favor. And it's been really fulfilling, honestly, because just seeing people again and being a part of their lives again has been really amazing.
Heidi, this brings me back, and I had not thought about this till you just said this. One of the questions, you always have those certain questions. I always used to ask at these type of situations where we were having lunch or I was coffee or whatever, afternoon cocktail, whatever it was, where I was just with people, is what's the biggest pain point in your business right now?
Ooh, I love that.
And you'd be amazed at what they say and how many times you've got the answer and you say, you've got to meet, and you become the connector. when we're talking about community, there are certain people that are the connectors in the community. The connector
Yes.
in the community controls the community also. They're the person that everybody leans on, and they come top of mind. So that's exactly what I love about this. Now, listen, I want to get super practical with people right here, because some people may be like, gosh, after we get there, how do I even start this? We sit down. So let's just talk about how that structure would look like to get somebody comfortable with how this would look. So let's say you get there, you sit down. What's the first thing you say, roughly? I mean, I know it changes every time, but.
Yeah, well, it kind of depends on what my situation has been with them. For today, let's take the lunch, for example, today. These people bought this house. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was a C+ house.
Mm-hmm.
But the backyard is A+.
Mm-hmm.
They bought it right before quarantine, and they've got 2 little boys. So this A+ backyard was enormous for them. Okay. So that was my connection point. So find out before you meet with them, remind yourself of who their names are, remind yourself what their connection point is. And I'm like, man, that backyard is beautiful. I can't stop thinking about it. I know that you guys did some updates. Catch me up. What did you do back there? And she's telling me about the hardscape that they've put in and the chimney, and, they fenced. And well, I know that there was that neighbor across the street that was really helpful when you guys moved in. Do you guys still have a relationship with them? Right. And we know these things. These are all things that we know by going through the transaction.
Right.
And it makes them feel so loved that we remember them all. Right. And these are just like high points of the transaction, right? Where I'm just like noting things. And then through there, she's asking me about my business. I'm asking her about hers because she's a financial planner. Catch me up on the stock market. Like, I'm seeing what's going on in the news, but what are you telling your clients? Right. Yeah. And so then the conversation just happens to go. Her husband lost his mom 6 months ago. So we got to have that conversation. And it was just easy and real. And I was sitting down with Jay Johnson in your office in Boston, I guess that was last week. And he told me a line that I have used ever since then on every single one of my lunches. And it's, who do you know that I should know?
So good, isn't it?
I mean, if somebody asked me that, I'd be like, well, I better get started. I don't know. Like everybody's just like, we all want to help each other. Again, we're all realtors, right? So during that conversation, I asked her that, and she was like, well, actually, why don't I hook you up with my divorce specialists, the people that are going through family law? Because if what she's trying to do is she's trying to get the wife in the relationship to do her financial planning, because she probably doesn't want to stick with the same financial planner that they had before. Mm-hmm. Well, they might need to sell their house.
Right. Yeah. Something like 70+% of the time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the odds are in my favor. So that's something. And that, I'll be honest with you, Jimmy, if I didn't have that conversation with Jay, I would have never asked that question.
So great.
And what an opportunity that opened up.
And
it's just by being nose to nose and toes to toes with people. Yeah,
that's really good. And I'll tell you, it's one of those also, if somebody's listening to this and they're like, gosh, I don't know what I would talk about, start with them. Give people the opportunity to talk about their favorite subject, which is themselves. Ask them how things are going. How's work going? How's the family doing? Especially when you can call those names. Hey, what coming out of this, what lessons did you learn? What is it that you're excited about? Those types of things where you give them an opportunity. And I had somebody, an old guy, tell me when I was really young in the business, and he had told me, he said, listen, if you will let people talk about themselves, and he said, and you will just listen, they will think you're the smartest person, because they had the opportunity to talk the entire time, and they think, oh gosh, that guy's really smart, because all they're doing is hearing themselves. So it's one of those where literally, if you will just open the door and give them an opportunity, and listen, come from a place of being genuinely interested. You can't fake it. I mean, listen, when you go to lunch, I know, because I know you're truly interested in how's everything going? What have y'all done? Those are things that you're truly interested in. So those are super helpful. Now let's say, okay, the conversation starts, it's going there. You get towards the end. Mm-hmm. You mentioned kind of that, who do you know that I should know? Are there other questions or other ways that you kind of in the meeting? Is it kind of, do you go ahead and say, hey, let's keep in touch? Do you follow up in any way? What does that look like?
So me, I'm a very scheduled person, and this might not work for everybody, but it works for me. So I've been doing all my lunches at noon. When I book it, I tell them that I have a 1:30 appointment. Good. Simply because I'm a talker. And most of my clients are extroverts. We will sit there until 3:45 if you let us. Right. So
Right.
I always say that. Do I always have a 1:30 appointment? Not always, but then at least that has, you know, if you see them checking their phone, they might be like, hey, it's 1:15. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, good to see you. But another question that I always ask people when I'm doing these is, do you guys have any good trips planned lately or that's coming up? And people love, that's an easy thing to remember. People love talking about it. It's an easy place where, oh, cool. Well, I've been there. You can have some relationship there. So that's always a big one. But for me, it's just being authentic and showing them that I care and showing up for them. That has truly blown me away, because I remember in the beginning of this year, I came down, I saw you in Florida, and somebody there was like, it's the year of the phone call.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yes.
And it was.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's the year of the face-to-face, right? It's like,
Yes.
it was 6 months of the phone call, and now it's 6 months of the face-to-face. Because I feel like people are just craving this community. Things are super heavy right now. I don't know one person that isn't going through some heavy stuff. And if we can just be there, and you never know what's going on behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But if you can just be there for somebody,
Yeah.
that's priceless, man.
Yeah. Heidi, I had someone else tell me one time, well, actually it's my grandfather. He told me, he said, Jimmy, if you will treat people like they're hurting, you're going to be right about 90% of the time. And I found that to be true. It's absolutely true that just in life, we generally we don't understand, as you said, what's going on with people. And when we come from a place of genuinely, authentically caring about people, which you can't fake, that's what creates relationship. That's what creates community, and that's generally what is so important in these situations. Let's talk about this, because what this all came about, and I love this line you said is, "I don't buy leads, I buy lunch," and that is such a great philosophy to understand, because these are people that already know, like, and trust you. They already have spent some time with you, or that you met, and now it's time to move them from either the know, from the like, or the trust into the trust. So these are what those meetings do. You can't have relationship without time. Time is what you need. And these are the type of time that you can spend with these folks that you never know. And here's the thing too, is you're going to have so many different, and you don't even realize it. I don't believe yet, possibly. I think you might know, but how many referrals are going to come out of this over the next 18 months because of that 1 hour that you spend with those folks, because of the way that the relationships went deep. I always say that too. I always say, if you'll go deep with a certain number of people, they will take you wide. They will get you to referrals. And that's what you're doing right now. Let's talk about the follow-up. You mentioned, that you will set another appointment, which I think is great because you keep that calendar full. Is there any follow-up you do with any of these folks after the fact, or is it something that you kind of just play it by ear on how it goes?
Perfect question. And this isn't something that we even talked about beforehand. So I'm glad that you asked this. So when we're having our conversations and they're like, how's business? I make sure I tell them my scoop on the business, right? I never say it's a shifting market. I say it's an adjusting market, or it's a normalizing market, whatever your choice is. And then I always tell them about our client appreciation events that we have coming up. Because even if they have not done business with me, they are my client. Mm-hmm. And they are forever my client, right? The gal that I had lunch with today, she bought a house 2 years ago. Well, you didn't hear me call her my past client. She's my client, right? So I always say, we've got this on this date. We've got that on that date. We've got that on that date. And so they're like, oh, wow, I love that you already have this plan and whatever. And it's a way that I'm telling them, hey, I'm organized and I've got your best interest in hand, without saying I'm the best. Right. And then so afterwards, all right, so I'm pulling up my phone so that you can see live what exactly happened today. All right. So the person I had lunch with, thank you again for lunch. I love seeing you. I sincerely am not surprised by the success you're having because of the person you are. It's a treat to know you, and I'm super proud of you. Have the best day. Okay. That's what she wrote to me. I said, my stomach just turned upside down. Thank you so much for being in my corner. I'm blessed to know you. Just in case if you forgot to write down those dates, these are the dates that we have for the events in 2023.
So good. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You didn't ask her, do you know anybody that wants to buy or sell? You don't have to when you got relationships.
But I did say, who do you know that I should know?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. But this is the beauty of that too, by dropping that stays, that has a lingering effect. You know what I mean? Every time they think of you, they're going to remember that. So now we've got to follow up here. Now, this is a good point too, because not everybody does as many client appreciation events as you do. What I've suggested to people is to have something in the future, whether that is, in our area, whether that's having a beach bonfire. And listen, you invite friends and your clients if you don't have many of them, many clients that would be in town. Also, whether it's, you do Thanksgiving with the Thanksgiving pies, having something planned for Thanksgiving, for instance, all of these different events, have something in the future that, like you said, that you're just going to say, hey, by the way, I just want to make sure I remember that you remember we're doing this coming up, because that's a great way to bridge that next contact.
Yep.
Those different times that you're going to be in contact with them. So listen, please go ahead. Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is, if you don't have something coming up, ask them, hey, what can I be doing to service my community right now? Is there anything here you go, Jimmy, here's your point. What's your pain point right now? What could a realtor do to help you? Right? Because a couple of years ago, I had somebody that's like, I have all this stuff in my house that I just need to shred.
Yeah.
So what did my team do? We did a shredding event. We did it right at our office. We invited all of our clients to come by, drop stuff off. One of those shredding companies came out here for free. We also had a rescue mission locally that came by so people could donate stuff to them. And I was just asking somebody what they wanted me to do. And so I did it. So if you don't have anything planned, just ask. And then the worst follow-up you can have is, hey, I appreciate that. We're going to do that on April 6th or whatever, right? And then you're letting them know you heard them, you support them, you want them to be there because they're part of your community.
So good. All this is such good stuff. Listen, I think this is what, there's an agent out there that's listening to this, and you've been wondering, what should I be doing right now as this market shifts? And you're trying to figure out what I did in the past may not get me where I want to go now. Heidi, I don't think there could be more clarity. Face to face, as you said, toes to toes and nose to nose, being with people right now and just genuinely caring and loving on people. I promise you it's going to come back to you. You always got the best stuff, Heidi. Make sure if somebody wanted to reach out to you, I know we mentioned it at the first, but again, share with people how they can get in touch with you if they got a referral, where they can get in touch with you to send it that way.
Oh, I love this. So you all know I love paying referral fees. So if you have a referral in the Raleigh area of North Carolina, you can email me at Heidi, that's HEIDI at homesweetheidi.com, or on Instagram, it's at Home Sweet Heidi.
Such good stuff. Always the best. Y'all reach out, let Heidi know how much you appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.